So they're going to say, so Brent, so just ignore it, go to work, and these suicides go away. No, the suicides aren't going away. Doesn't make it right, doesn't feel any better. Suicides are going to be a product of 20 years of war. And if a guy wants to commit suicide, he's going to commit suicide. And there's nothing you can do to stop him. And you don't like that answer, and I don't like that answer. But that's the answer we got. And the only people who have a chance at stopping him are his closest friends and his friends who should have picked up the phone and said, hey, how you doing today? My buddy Matt just committed suicide. He was a Marine Raider. He was an absolute hero, a dad, and a great man. And I didn't pick up the phone enough to call Matt and say, Matt, how you doing today? No therapist was going to save Matt. Only his friends were going to save him. And we didn't save him. But at the end of the day, Matt gets a vote. He's a grown man. And we tell funny stories about Matt. There's a lot of funny stories to be told about Matt. We talk about the good times of Matt and what a hero that guy was, because he was. And then we go back to work and we move forward with our lives. One of the best analogies someone ever told me is you only got two options in life, 6 foot forward or 6 foot under. There's only two options you got. So I'll choose 6 foot forward.
Thank you for sharing that about Chris and about Matt and
not but before I'll say one when it comes to suicides, one of the biggest factors in suicides is drugs and alcohol. Drugs, and people don't want to talk about that because they don't want to, they don't want to, talk about the dark side, of people's lives and personal lives, and I get that. I'm not calling anyone particular out and saying anyone particular suicide was because of this, but more times than not, drugs, would it be prescription drugs or alcohol or both, is involved. And let me tell you about the amount of times a year I get drunk. None if I can help it. I don't have more than 2 or 3 beers in any setting, any sitting that I have. Maybe it's a celebration where I let loose about it, but I never have enough where I lose capability to physically defend myself, to mentally evaluate a situation, 2 or 3, talk to the cops if I need be, to talk to the cops and tell them a situation was happening. 4, defend someone who needs defending. Like those are all things that, and I know it sounds a little Captain America like cliche. Call whatever you want. There's no reason as a grown man with responsibilities in his life to get wasted and drunk and think he can perform his manly duties the next day. And that's stop drinking and doing drugs.
I personally am right there with you on that policy, and people can make their own decisions. I don't want to knock what other people do, but what I can say, and I'm pretty sure is a fact, is that it doesn't help.
Funny you say that. I was a speaker at a conference, and the speaker before me was talking about he was nothing like me in some aspect. Like he was a great salesman. You can even call him a business weenie if you want. Like but the way he spoke just had me listen to him. And he was speaking unapologetically, which that'll always grab my attention. And he could have spoke of all things to talk about. He started talking about how he carries himself in an airport, and how he one of the things he said was, "Hey, I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't go that far with it." But he goes, "I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't want anyone to ever drink, see me drinking and assume, he drinks." So he stays far away from that perception, and that is fine. Don't get me wrong. Be on that side of it rather than the other side of it. And he said, "But I do know this. I have plenty of friends who drink, and I have plenty of friends who have been in some really bad times in their life. And I don't know one friend in the history of ever that ever told me the story and said, you know what? Things weren't going good in life. Everything was just against me. I started drinking, and I started drinking heavily. And you know what? things kind of started getting better. And the more I drank, the better things got. Said no one ever. Tell me one story where adding alcohol into a situation didn't make it worse. So it's insanity that we fall back to that. I understand it. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I understand it. I don't agree with it. And we have to be mentally strong as men to say no. And we have to have friends there that are willing to stand up to another friend and be like, no, this isn't how we're going to handle this. I'm coming over.